He who is only an athlete is too crude, too vulgar, too much of a savage. He who is a scholar only is too soft, too effeminate. The ideal citizen is the scholar-athlete, the man of thought, and the man of action. Plato. You should be striving to be a Renaissance man. I think everyone should. And first, what is a Renaissance man? What does that mean? Why should we strive towards it? The Renaissance man is exactly as the name suggests. It's following in the footsteps of the great men who lived in the Renaissance, like Da Vinci and Copernicus, who did not improve themselves in one aspect only, but they really focused heavily on every faculty of their human existence and really boosted it individually. And that all coalesced into making themselves great individuals who were proficient in the arts, engineering, artistic expression in all sorts of ways, sculpting, the sciences, physical development through athletics, and everything else. And that's really the concept of the Renaissance man. And of course, if we zoom out a bit and go a step before that, before we even consider following in the footsteps of the Renaissance men, we need to understand why we're developing in the first place. Or what's the point of personal development? Well, it gives us direction and meaning. Because why drift around aimlessly and without some sort of higher purpose where we can collect our values, organize them, and then go forward, aiming up in a good direction to develop ourselves? It gives us purpose. It makes us happy. It gives us a reason to live and a reason to suffer in the first place. We can choose to suffer aimlessly, or we can choose to suffer for a cause that is worth it, a cause that is worth the suffering of existence. And that then leads us on to becoming a Renaissance man. And what we have nowadays, especially with the college system and university, is a push towards hyper-specialisation. And what I mean by that is, because there's so many people on earth and there's such high competition in essentially every field, every trade, there's intense competition. You have to be really good at what you do. And you often find success by being really specialised on a very distinct niche that's kind of, it's completely strange to everyone else, but in your small field of that niche, you're the authority. And that's sort of how they push you to find success in university. Of course, they emphasize other skills, but that's mainly the formula for success nowadays, is to get really focused. And that's not inherently bad, but I think it's really not good either for building a well-rounded character. And that's where the idea of the Renaissance man comes in. It's almost fully rejecting specialization. Not fully, of course, because it's still good to have some sort of mastery on a topic or two. Your topic, your skill, your trade. That's good. But the point is, to become a Renaissance man, we have to attend to every sort of faculty of self-development. And what I mean by that is, one faculty is art. We should strive for artistic excellence, to express ourselves in some way in an artistic medium. We should strive to improve our mind, whether that's through reading, through debating. It's that field of study and personal development. Physical development is another one. A good social life is another one. Being good at being a father, it could be another one. It's all these groups of sub-skills and trades, I suppose, that we should give attention to each one, because a lot of us don't. We focus heavily on one side, whether it's lifting or reading, and we don't really spread out our attention to all of them. And there's a phrase there was a saying, a story from, I have no idea where it's from, but there was a man, someone's uncle or something, who was a mechanic, and he was really good at his job. He was a great mechanic, but his mechanic friends weren't cooks, and this uncle was. He was a chef as well in his spare time. He loved the culinary world, and he would focus heavily on developing his skills in that. And he used to say, of all the chefs, I am the best engineer in that room. And when I'm in the shop, I am the best chef of all those mechanics. And that was profound to me, because it's like, just because you went out of your niche and focused on developing yourself in other ways, you suddenly got this unique viewpoint, these unique skills that all kind of just work together and intertwined into one person, yourself. And that really amplified every aspect of work in every niche you do. Having that broad perspective with all the inputs coming in. And yeah, the message is that specialization is not bad inherently, but it's important that we don't lose sight of the higher end by strictly sticking to one subject. We should strive to at least develop ourselves somewhat in a whole range of different fields and faculties, like I say. And this is sort of the introductory video. The next one I want to do is actually a sort of framework for how to become a Renaissance man. It's going to be very vague, because it's not going to be, do this, this, and this to become a Renaissance man, like we say. But it's picking out 4 sort of fields we can look into and make sure we're doing something there. Something that leaves no corner in the dark, let's say. And they are actually artistic expression, social development, and being a good communicator, and it's included in that. Physical development, which is one of the more obvious ones. And then the final one is developing the mind, reading and such. Again, it's another more obvious one. And in that video I'll give you a sort of guidance and a rough structure that you can build upon, that you can, with some examples of what you could do to achieve this. And really, you see it more and more nowadays. People, all these sort of content creators and small entrepreneurs in this field will focus on a broad set of skills, constant learning, like the constant desire to learn and to become that archetype we look up to. The Da Vinci, he was such an impressive man. He could do everything, and that's what we look up to. We find value in people who are not masters of one thing necessarily, but flexible in all things, and they're just well-rounded. And that's what we should strive to do. That is the Renaissance man. And I'll see you in the next video for a guide of how we can actually do that in our own life. Thank you.